Jimmy, you're back.
I almost, I'm shocked to a point. I couldn't believe we actually were going to be doing this today.
I'm so
I have
glad.
been on pins and needles for weeks about this.
I get it. Pins and needles. That's an upholstery.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Yeah, you can't use that though. I made it up. So.
Well, it's Class 8, and you're here, and in your hand-carved mahogany chair, and we're going to start the seat today, the seat in the deck. I mean, you've padded out most of it. We're still going to put a little bit more padding on it. You might be surprised how we're going to do that. But there's a method to the way I upholster, so,
Okay.
And we're going to show you that now. So what we did on your deck and seat, just to catch people up, we sewed those two together.
Okay.
Right, Jimmy? Let me just flip this over and show. There's a 1/2-inch seam on this side.
Okay.
Okay, so we did that. Now, I'm going to help you out here because this is a little nerve-wracking because you actually, something I tell people never to do, and that's cut fabric before it's secured, but in this case you have to do it. But what the goal here is we need to get this tight
Okay.
so that you're able to stitch in this area here in between, right?
Okay.
That's a little tight area in there, but I'm sure you'll be able to do it. But in order to do that, we have to cut this, and I just want to show people what I did here is I put the seam close to the front here so that the seam will disappear on the side because it's close enough. I don't know if
Okay.
you're following me, but
Yeah.
Let
So
me
when you
just-
cut it, it's going to be right around the pole.
that's right. It has to be cut around this post, right? So I'm going to come to the middle, and then I'm going to go off this way, and then I'm going to go off this way. Okay, so that's my first series of cuts, and I'm not going to pull this that much right now. Look what I do over here. I'm going to
Nice
give
and
this.
snug.
I'm going to
That's
give this
great.
a little pleat like this, so it's almost. I'm going to staple that for you in a minute
Okay.
to get this tight. But now what I'm going to do, believe it or not, I'm going to cut the other side. And I tell people never to do this, but this is the only time really where you pre-cut like this. Okay, normally you want it secured before you do any cutting. But, like I said, we have to stitch this down. So now I'm going to go in the middle, and then I'm going to go off.
So because you're doing the stitching is the reason why.
Exactly, the hand stitching. It's already machine stitched. But now look, we already
Wow.
have a nice finished
That
look. Let me
is
get my staple
perfect.
gun. Okay. I am going to give this, I'm going to hide the seam, Jimmy, as much as I can. I'm going to hide the seam by rolling it under, pleating it under, and I'm going to get a staple here. And then I'm going to bring it this way, and I'm going to pull it just a little bit tight. Okay. Now you're ready to fold this back. I'm going to fold the deck back like this.
Yeah.
Now your job is you need to try to get a stitch worked in here, a back stitch. It's not a blanket stitch like you did here actually. You're just going in and out, in and out, in and out. I'm going to get a couple going for you. I'm going to come this way. Okay, we're going to take a piece of the nylon and we're going to do about 2.5 times the width.
Now how thick is this?
This is a thick nylon. This will never break.
Oh my God.
Never
You
break.
feel it.
Yeah, it's very strong. That's why we use it in this application. We also use it for buttons. It's actually called a button twine. So I'm going to start you out here to show you the stitch that I want. It's just a back stitch. It's not, you don't want to do a blanket stitch like you did your horsehair. Okay, I'm going to put a knot there. All they want you to try to do is go behind each stitch that you put in and come out. You have to be very careful you're not coming out on the good side. It's only to near the stitch, right? So watch. It's a big needle, so you can even be like right about maybe 1/4 inch away from the stitch. You have to pull each one, and this is what I want to show you. So you're coming out, you want to come in behind it. That's called the back stitch. And you
Okay.
have to try to feel your way in there with the needle. You can push it down with your fingers. You see what I'm trying to do?
Yep.
I'm going to get one more stitch. See, I'm coming out there. No good, right?
Yeah, I got it.
So if this is, I know that this is a task. So be patient. And, you know, I'm not getting it the first time, right? See? Going in and out.
Ah, okay.
Now what I'm going to do is let's check. Now you see, you don't want to do this. See, I'm coming through the loop. Don't go through the loop, okay? You don't want to do that.
That'd be something else.
Watch. See? Just in and out like that, okay?
Perfect.
Now let's take a look to see how we're doing. Okay, that's good. Okay, if you can try to get in between, all the way across there, let me just get it
To the
cropped up. As close as you can, okay? And I'll leave you alone now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Jimmy, I'm impressed at your speed. Let's just make sure we didn't cross over on your stitching. Sometimes that happens.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But you could tie that off. Just the way to tie it off is you could take your needle through here and come back the other way if you want, and just go through the loop.
Oh, okay.
Just.
Oh.
Ooh, you okay?
Yeah. It's all right. Workman's comp, baby.
Tetanus shot, right? You could just loop it through like that.
Oh, okay.
All right?
I thought it was
And then-
going to go the same way.
And then you could cut that off. Well, before you do that though, let's take a look at it to see where you cut. Very good, look at that. You can get it through one time.
Ah, I tell you, I'm getting
Very
back.
good. Very good.
Old
Okay,
eagle
you
eye,
cut
right?
that off, that end,
Okay.
Jimmy. And then we're gonna start the easy side first on this, okay?
This
The
the easy
one
side?
is the deck, is the easy one, okay?
Now, why more cushion than there already is,
I'm
Kevin?
gonna explain that in a minute.
Okay.
First of all, you need to, on the rubberized horsehair,
Mm-hmm.
you definitely need something over that. Because you just
Oh.
put the fabric over that, you're gonna feel the little, you know,
Horsehairs.
the horsehairs, yeah. Even though you have a cushion on top of it. What I would do first, I always get in the habit, Jimmy, of checking to make sure there's no debris in there.
Okay.
So I'll check that for you, nothing, no needles or anything sticking out. On the Dacron, I switch up sometimes Dacron or cotton.
Okay.
Okay, so I think Dacron's gonna work out good. Cotton could work out too, but I just feel like using Dacron too. It's a batting, so it's a simple batting over all the heavy batting that you've already done.
Right. Soften
Seat's
it
gonna
up.
be, well, yeah, a little bit. The seat's gonna be different, because we need extra batting on the seat. And I'll
Okay.
explain that when we get there, but let's do the deck first.
Okay.
So I'm gonna split this in half even, so it's a half of an inch. We don't need a full, we don't need a full half of an inch, right?
Okay.
So the reason I'm doing this, I'm very, very sparse on the finished batting, because you don't want the deck higher than the seat. And we'll explain that more when we go. And the other nice thing about the way we're doing this,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to attach it. That's done on the sides and everything.
Because
Just put it
of
just
the way
like
the
that, just
horsehair
like
is.
that. Yeah.
Really?
Because it's gonna go underneath the rail, right? Now, what you wanna do is trim. Dacron can tear when it's this thin, but it's really hard from one side. It tears better from the other side. So what I want you to do, Jimmy, I want you to hold your hand here and trim that right along the seam, okay? So it actually, it can trim up like cotton.
Yeah.
If it's thin enough. Usually you need scissors, but the reason you want to feather it like this, because you don't want to create a ridge. You want feathered to the seam, and it just feels better and looks better, okay? Good. Now, when you bring your deck back, I'm going to explain this to you, I want you to do it. You're gonna try to bring your deck back and push it underneath here, just in the middle.
Okay.
With your hand.
Okay.
But when you're up like this, you wanna try to force the dacron into the seam. So lift the
okay.
deck. And just kinda, yeah, there you go. As you're coming down, yeah. And now try to get it through the middle. Okay, and you wanna get a pin tack. You probably should have tack, okay? Use 6-ounce tacks. So you don't want to go to the sides yet, Jimmy. You don't want to poke it into the side. No, it's tempting to do that. You just want to concentrate in the middle. You just want to get one pin tack in the middle before you poke it in the sides. And you'll see why in a minute. I'll just get your tacks here for you. You can use the big tacks for this too.
Okay.
What I want you to do, Jimmy, is just pull this fabric. Let's bring this around for people to see. Let's turn it completely around. We're all set like this. What Jimmy's gonna do, actually, you know, this is you got the. He's got his a 14-ounce tack on the magnet end of his hammer. And what you're gonna do, Jimmy, is pull this down. Now, before we do anything else, hold on a second. Hold on a second, Jimmy. Let me just get in there for a second. I have to do something for you. So I noticed that the rubberized horsehair is a little bit in the way, so I'm just gonna cut that for you. You need to leave this open for your tacking. Okay, what I would like you to do is pull this down and get a tack right in there if you can.
Okay.
A pin tack. Okay, that's all you have to do. One pin tack just to secure it, because he's gonna make some cuts now after he does this. Some people, you know, if the magnet doesn't work, some people like to put the tack in and then use the non-magnetic side of the hammer just to be safe. If you're not as used to the hammer, I mean, if people out there watching aren't as used to what you did, Jimmy, right? So we're going to turn this around. Now, what this only requires, Jimmy, is a cut. Jimmy, I'm going to do this because Jimmy has to hold that to be tilted. It's a little awkward because we want people at home to see it, but it's a pretty simple cut off, almost off the corner here. It's a little bit this way. It's just one cut, and you're trying to go to the post, to the back post like that. Okay, that's all it takes.
No cut to the left, no cut
Nope.
to the right? Really?
No, because the reason that is because it's a pointed post, Jimmy.
Ah.
It's pointed towards us. It's not a flat post. Does that make sense? So let's bring that in a minute. So let's bring it down now. We'll let the camera in the front see it now. So what Jimmy did was, what we did together was we cut around the post. Okay, so now the only stretching that Jimmy needs to finish, the deck doesn't require a tremendous amount of stretching. But there's a technique to what you need to do first. So I'm going to turn it this way, let this camera see. What I want Jimmy to do, I want you to pull it this way and get a pin tack in there.
Okay.
And come to the front and pull it to the front and get a pin tack.
So we're doing the ends, not the...
Yep, and then you're going to come to the back, Jimmy,
Yeah.
and you're going to stretch this way to the back and stretch. And then the same thing over there. And the
All
same
the way around.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay?
Now that's unusual because usually we do what? We go from one end to the other.
That's right. This is different, yeah. This is different because it's just the deck. The deck doesn't need a huge amount of stretching. Now, I want you to feel that, and we don't even have a...
Oh, wow.
So all your key stretching is done. So let me just review. We put a tack in the middle. That allowed us to cut around the pointed post, which only need one cut.
Okay.
And then you did all your key stretching from the middle out, right?
Okay.
From the back to the front on the sides, so people can review that if they want. I just thought I'd review it with you.
Okay.
So now, what I can do, and I'm gonna help you here, because I want to show you something. If people don't have a staple gun, if they're just using tacks at home, it's kind of advantageous, right? To get all your stapling up at the top here. This is really important, because you don't have a much room here
No.
for your upholstery that has to go on the outside.
Right.
So now, I will caution people when they're doing this, they have to be careful, because the head of the gun can slip off. What you always have to remember is on the pneumatic guns, if you have a good pneumatic gun, the gun's doing the work for you. You don't have to press down too hard. When people are using electric guns, or guns that aren't so good, they're pressing down, especially the electric
Too
guns.
much pressure.
And then they slip. That's how you can get hurt.
Okay.
So it's a good idea. I just want to do this for you just to demonstrate probably the safe part of this. And I show people not to have their finger on the trigger. These don't have safeties in them either. So what I'm going to try to do is finish up the stretching too at the same time.
Okay.
So that if you weren't sure, you could pin tack this whole thing about every 2 inches. So I'm just showing the tack. That's what you do, and if it looks good, you could tack all the tacks in.
Right.
So we're kind of, stepping it up a little bit for you.
Okay.
Right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to staple all this down on the top. See what I'm doing?
Yeah, on the top there and on the
I'm
side.
stretching it. I'm not stretching it like this. I'm actually grabbing a fistful because you've got your nice stretch right here. Okay? So when you properly stretch it, you can kind of go along, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just put one there. Let's turn it around, Jimmy, for me, so the back is facing this way. It's about 90 degrees out today, right, Jimmy?
It feels a little bit of that in here too.
So I'm gonna pull this down. Need a sleeve. I'm behind you, Jimmy. So
Yes.
Need a sleeve. If you can grab me a sleeve of staples out of there, that would be great.
Doctor?
Pulling it this way. Jimmy, I'm gonna have you do the last side, okay?
Mm-hmm.
See that? I just want to show people when you
Just, yeah.
when you guys want to rewind what just happened there. Now, for the benefit of you all at home, I'm on the side. I don't suggest that when you're working alone that you're on the side like I am, but I just slipped off. I want to show you what happened. Right?
Yes.
I'll do this. They can see it.
I saw it for a
Did
second.
you see it? It
Yes.
went down, but I didn't have my finger on the trigger, so I didn't get hurt.
Yes.
That can be very easily get hurt. So when you're at home, if you're doing this, you want to be like right here, and you want to make sure that you're planted first, and then you move your finger over like that. I'm going a little fast here, just for the
Right.
sake of,
Because you know what you're doing.
So that was good to demonstrate that, so that when you come over here, Jim,
Oh, the other
and
side.
I'll leave it up to you. You can either pull this down and pin tack it on the top here, about every 2 inches, or you can use the gun.
I want to use the gun. It's been a while, but I want to use the
Now, what
gun.
we're gonna do for you though,
Yeah.
right, you don't have to show people at home like I was doing from the side, that's
Or your
great.
technique.
Just do it, make sure that you're safe. Okay, so your back will be to the camera, but I wanna see how you do with that, okay?
Okay.
You wanna give it a pull down as you're stapling. I like his speed, you guys. He's going at a speed that's safe. It's very painful to get a staple in your finger. Because, you could be using half-inch staples.
Hmm.
So safety first, right, Jimmy?
Yes, and keep my finger away
Yeah.
until I'm set.
Yeah.
And then what I'm doing is right on it, wait, and then just...
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Let me see the gun. I want to show people now. I want you to turn the chair to the camera. Let's just check it out. Oh my goodness. Feel
Wow.
that.
That is...
So all your hard work, from putting the springs in the webbing, and then 8-way tying the top of the springs to the burlap,
Mm-hmm.
to the horsehair, to the Dacron, and now to the fabric. All what's paid off is that you've got a nice smooth seat.
Yeah, I'm impressed with it.
I am too.
Well, now tell me, what would have been the difference between a half-inch Dacron and an inch of Dacron?
Hardly any at all, except that I'm trying to keep the deck at a minimum. Now let's talk about that now.
Okay.
You could trim this later. This gets trimmed.
Okay.
We don't have to worry about that right now.
Okay.
What I mean by that, let's just show them what I mean, because you might do this off camera. Jimmy's just gonna trim this just like that. He's gonna try to get as close as he can to the edge, just like that. He's gonna go all the way around, then he's done.
Right.
So now let's talk about your seat,
Yes.
okay? So once you grab your cushion over there, it'd be good to demonstrate it. The way Jimmy's got this right now, if we were just to put the Dacron in the front, his cushion would be coming out like that, right? So all upholstered furniture with cushions, the seat is taller than the deck. The seat has to be taller than the deck.
Okay.
Right? So in other words, there's more batting in the seat. Okay, so what I have is a piece of foam that we're gonna put in here.
Not Dacron?
Dacron comes after the foam.
Ah.
Okay. So now another thing that I'm gonna elect to do, right, is I'm gonna get my edge, my straight edge right against here. Now I don't like to use spray glue. I don't like spray glue.
What is that?
I just don't like the smell of it. I think that after you're upholstered, I know that if there's a warm day like today, people can actually smell the glue while they're sitting on their chair, and I think that's really bad. I try to stay away. I mean, this is a synthetic foam.
Right.
But I try to stay away from sprays for that reason. I wouldn't want it in my furniture. So what that means, I have a technique to secure it. What most upholsterers do,
Okay.
they lift this up, they spray glue this, they put
Jam
this
it
down, and then they trim this, and they're done.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna show you another way. So what I want is just the foam at the top. Let me just bring this back like this again to show people. I don't want the foam coming over. I mean, it would be tempting to staple it.
Oh, no.
But if I do that, I take the profile away. And we worked hard. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember. We worked
Yeah,
hard. I'm going to turn this way for the camera can see Jimmy, the profile that Jimmy maintained on that, right? That's hard to do. It's hard to do this. It's easier just to staple everything down, right? It's hard to do hand stitching here. The whole idea of that is to maintain the profile.
Okay.
Okay, what I mean by that, you've seen furniture that's bubbled, newer furniture that are notorious for this. It bubbles over.
Okay.
And it's because they're lazy or they just don't know that that's not the way to do it. So what I'm gonna do, Jimmy, is I'm gonna just place this up in here. Okay, and I'm gonna take the scissors. Now if you want, you could, why don't we have you trace this?
Good.
What I'm gonna do is cut the end down here, so the ends are gonna be good, right?
Okay.
And then what I'm gonna do, actually, I have a really good idea, Jimmy. I
A
have
marker?
wood right here, right?
Yeah, we'll use a marker and just trace it out.
I have wood right here, so what I'm gonna do is, I'm actually gonna staple. I just told you that I don't like stapling, but in this case I will, because oftentimes we don't have a flat surface
You don't have a hard
like
corner.
this. We have a hard corner now. So let's use it. I didn't notice that. So it's just
Okay.
one staple there, and then, Jimmy, so it doesn't move on, another staple here. So now your job, I'm gonna ask you to trace this out right at the edge here,
Okay.
and then I need you to cut that.
Okay.
Long story short, right?
Is there a long story short?
I don't know. It's a lot of explaining.
Okay, Kevin, I think it's,
Did you cut it, Jimmy?
yeah.
Okay. Now we're gonna talk about profiles. Right? Let's just see. Yeah, I think I like that. I want to do one more thing on the front before we cover it with some Dacron. I think I want to put a little. Let me just look at this for a second.
You think you want to move it up a little bit?
No, actually, you know something? I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. Let's grab some Dacron.
Okay.
We're gonna grab that other half a layer that we took. We're gonna use
Okay.
that now. I'm gonna bring this way. I'm gonna just fold this a little bit underneath here to get a nice seam.
Okay.
So you notice I don't do a lot of attaching with some of the batting. Okay, that's kind of a method that I use. Okay.
Okay.
Because when you're doing heavy stapling and heavy stitching on the batting, you sacrifice the look, the aesthetics.
Okay.
So like for instance, if you were to stitch the dacron down, which you possibly could, sometimes they do it. It actually puts little puckers in the dacron, and that will affect the fabric because you have a very light fabric. So these variables we take into consideration.
Okay.
Right. It's a lighter
Things to
weight
know.
fabric. Yeah, there's a lot going on here with how I'm selecting for this, right?
Yes, the techniques have definitely changed here.
Well, it's like baking, cooking. You know, most people understand cooking if they leave an ingredient out. Like I was watching an episode of Everyone Loves Raymond, right?
Okay.
And the mother shared a recipe with the daughter-in-law that she doesn't particularly like, and she purposely left out an ingredient on one of the main,
I
like the
don't know what
lasagna
happened. I
thing.
gave you the right. Yeah. I
Right?
think I may have seen
So
that.
she set up her failure. We don't want to set your failure up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to staple. I'm going to come around here. I want to show people what I'm doing. I'm going to staple this side. Now, you know, this does take a little bit of experience with the gun. I'm trying to be on top of my my wood rail there because we still need some opening, right, for that. Come this way. I'll explain that in a minute. And we don't want to cover that too much. Let me just get a couple of staples over here. Okay, now let's show the front. Now I'm going to sit down. I would recommend for people to make sure that they get eye level with where they're doing, and I'm going to grab that chair over there, Jimmy, that your drink's on.
Okay. Again, we're going to do some tearing.
So and I oversized this too. So what we're going to do first is cut this. We're not tearing yet. I just want to show people what we're doing here, just to see. And see, this is why I recommend cutting, you know, each the fabric and even batting only 3 inches oversize.
Okay.
Right? So that you could see. So now my task here is, I do need to staple this down because I'm electing not to use foam. Okay, that's the only reason, right? So you see this line here? We have to be very careful. You don't want to, it's very tempting to use that as a guide for your stapling.
Right, but if anything, if I were to do it, I'd probably...
You want to be up top.
Yeah.
Even if you could be, I'm going to try to get a staple like up here. It's kind of rugged because you don't want to slip, and I think I'm successful, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need so many of these, and I'm not pulling this tight, okay? Over here we have more wood, so that kind of lets me do that, right? So I'm going to ask you to do the very important part of trimming. Okay, so now what I'm going to ask you to do, Jimmy, and now you can't feather this part. Isn't that interesting? You need to use your scissors on this part.
No, not
Yeah.
the scissors.
You do, and you need to, this is what I want you to do. I need you to be as close to the staple as you possibly can. Just
Okay.
like that. So that, look you guys, he's going to leave this tack line open for the fabric when the fabric comes down, and now we have a tack line. See that?
Perfect.
Okay?
Perfect. Okay, Kevin.
You did, Jimmy, I have to say, you're very on the ball today.
Yes, it's that Geritol that I've been taking.
You take that twice daily, do you?
I don't even know if they make that stuff anymore.
These young people are going, what's Geritol?
Yeah, exactly. I'm
You know.
sure they're going to be Googling that today.
So now we have to slow down a bit, because this is kind of...
I'm on a roll now.
I know. You have to slow yourself down, though. There's a couple of things you need to know. You're going to be pin tacking the cover down here. So first of all, what I want you to do is when you pull this, just to kind of work all that padding into the seam again, just like that. That looks good. And I think I got a nice, it's a little bit above the deck, which is fine. I need you to do a better job. Can I have your scissors for a second? You need to do a better job here, Jimmy.
What?
Yeah.
What did you say?
So you need to be closer. Because this is bad when the dacron is peeking over your tack line. It's gonna be really hard for you to see this, right? See that? You need to actually see what you're tacking here. Explain, when I just trimmed up, I helped Jimmy trim this a little bit so that you could see the entire tack line right across. Now what you need to do with your tacks, you can use your 14-ounce tacks if you want. Give this a little pull and pin tack. Now you have to be very careful with your pin tacking, and this is important. You can't use your staple gun here. This definitely has to be pin tack. I want you to pin tack just for now in this area.
Okay.
Start in the middle and work out.
Okay.
Okay, that means that you should get it tight. Not tight this way, but it should be straight this way. So when you stretch and get a tack here, and then this one here you do like a two-way stretch. Stretch and stretch, right?
Okay.
So you get that tight, and then another tack. So
it's
every
not
2 inches.
Not a complete pull down.
No.
Okay.
No, this is just halfway pin tack, right? Start in the middle, work out one way, and then do the other side.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll take a look at it. You don't have to pull it super tight. Oh, and the other thing,
Yes.
your chair is low to the table.
Yes.
This is actually a good point, Jimmy.
Yes.
Let me sit down and show people something. Little tip here, you guys. So what Jimmy's going to be doing, first of all, he can move the chair out just a little bit more. And the way he is right now, he's actually going to have to go like this in order to get these tacks in. If he's up like this, your angle, if you're going to be putting them on with your magnetic hammer, your angle when you go down here is going to be tilted, and you're going to have a hard time tacking. So setting yourself up is really important here.
Okay.
And I know that you know this, but I bet some people at home don't. So what I would do, you either have to get down on your knees, which sometimes is hard for people. I mean, if you want to grab a cushion, like, can I have your cushion? Let me just demonstrate this. Throw your cushion. So now I'm actually like this. This is the proper height.
So it's straight on.
Yeah. So sitting on a chair might not be the best thing. If you want to sit in your chair, another thing you could do, put something underneath here. I don't like that idea because it's not as solid. If you had something solid, we could do that.
No, but I think the cushion is the
The
best.
cushion, okay. So there you
Yes.
go. And I guess in other words, you really need to focus here and not put the tack in the finished wood or up too far up into the dacron. So you've got that half inch to tack it, right? So you guys, I know that Jimmy's back is to you guys, but I explained what he is doing. I don't want Jimmy, I want him to practice good practices, right, with the proper technique to tacking, and he has to be straight on when he does this. If it were me, I'd try to be off to the side, but it's really hard showing people like that, especially with the staple gun, as you saw, it slipped off, so I don't want him doing that. But you understand what he's doing. This is just the first tacking on the seat. So the seat is much different than the deck. The deck was easy for a couple of reasons. Number one, we didn't have to stretch it as much. The other reason is there's no finished edge he's coming to on the seat, on the deck part, right? On the sides and the back. We just stapled up at the top. All that's going to be covered. This here is the most important part of the chair, where you're going to sit a lot of the details in the front of the chair, right? So he's got very little margin of error there. So I don't want him to speed up here or anything. We're going to get this pin tacked, and then we're going to end this until next time, because that's how important the seat portion of this is. We're going to break it up. We're going to next week devote most of the time to just getting the seat secured. I'd be surprised next week even if we get to the arms, but after this it's going to be the inside arms, the inside back, the outside arm, and the outside back. And we have a really easy way of doing, not to cut corners, but the easy way on the inside arms and the outside arms and the outside back, not the inside back, is going to be, we're going to treat them like panels. There's not much padding that goes on it, so we're going to actually be able to fold the fabric under. You'll see. It's interesting. But a lot of the work, as you guys probably, if you've done other upholstery jobs, a lot of the mystery is the seat and the deck. Well, obviously the work comes in. How you doing, Jimmy?
Well, I think I did pretty good with it.
You know what?
I love this, though.
I
I
think-
love to see how the different, now when you talk about the holding the cushion back onto the chair.
Why don't you put the cushion up and see what the difference is now? So it has a pitch back. It pitches back now.
Yeah,
So that's what you want. You want it about a 10 to 15 degree pitch back, which is,
Okay.
that's what it is, and that's fine. So I think we got a lot done today. I'm really happy with the work that we got done.
yeah.
So next time, like I said, we just explain what we're gonna be doing next time. I'm really excited for you because now you're starting to see some light, right? At the end of the
Yes.
tunnel.
Well, like you say, maybe next week if we get to the inside or the outside panels, however it all kind
It
of.
will be the inside panels if we
Inside
get to
panels,
it.
okay.
So I'm looking forward to that. So next week, we're gonna finish the seat definitely, and then maybe start on the inside arm. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for
Okay.
coming, Jimmy.
No problem.